quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me, any place, anytime.
He started it. The fact is that, you know, I know people say this isn't incumbent of a senator, but I remind people, I'm a guy from Oklahoma first, and you just don't run your mouth like that.
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
When you run your mouth, you need to be called out on it every now and then. If that requires you getting unfortunately punched in the face, and that's what's going to happen every now and then, because there's consequences for your actions.
All right, you heard from Senator Markwayne Mullin on all of this. Now, the guy he was talking about, Sean O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters, kind enough to join us. Sean, good to have you. What did you make of what he said, that you kind of started it? Now, I have two sons who are maybe a little younger than both of you gentlemen, and that's the kind of stuff they say.
Yeah, I mean, it was bizarre at best. I mean, we were at that hearing to testify. We had the privilege of being invited to testify of the value of unions and how we can work together bipartisan. And obviously, I use those hearings as a opportunity to hear the different side of opinions and see how we can adjust and maybe work together. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, because first he says we're consenting adults, which was bizarre because it sounded like he wanted to date me. Then he asked to fight me. And I'm hearing now he wanted to bite me. And then the last post he made was in front of a cache of automatic weapons where he says, anytime, any place. So make up your mind. Do you want to date me, fight me, bite me, or shoot me? It's crazy. We're there for one reason only. It's to, you know, tell our side of the story and get some feedback and maybe develop some relationships for the betterment of working people.
Well, you didn't develop a relationship with him, and it looks like things haven't softened, so I guess there's no coffee planned, right?
Hey, look, I'll sit down and have coffee with anybody. Despite his rhetoric and his violent tendencies, obviously he has some issues that he probably should be dealing with. But my issue is dealing with, you know, how we improve America, how we work together, and how we move forward from our differences.
But to be fair, Sean, you were giving back as much as he was giving you, and it looked like you were ready to come to blows with him. If he had jumped over that dais, would you have done that?
Well, look, first off, I mean, that's a setting that should never occur, and it's not the proper form.
Would you have done that? It looked like you were ready and raring to go.
If he jumped over the dais and put myself or anybody that was with me at risk, obviously we do have a right to defend ourselves. That is clearly not the objective moving forward for me.
Let me ask you, though, I know we go back and forth, Sean, on the notion who started, but, you know, you did send some nasty tweets, emails, whatever you want to call them, saying of him that it's just reality that you're just a clown. You should get your facts straight, because every time you speak at these hearings, you're full of you know what. You went on to say, the more you run your mouth, the more you show the American people what a moron you are. Do you regret that?
I don't, because, you know, my first interaction with Senator Mullin at my first hearing, he attacked me personally regarding my salary, what value I bring to working people. He actually came at me first, and I had no knowledge and or ever dealings with him. And then he proceeded to try and belittle everybody on the committee. So, you know, everything he was saying was not one bit factual, and he couldn't support any of those remarks he was making. He was inconsistent. So, you know, I don't have a problem with someone criticizing me. I don't have a problem with someone not liking me, but just make sure you have the facts and figures. And he clearly doesn't. He made up this story about how he came from nothing. He was harboring resentment from another union that picketed his business. You know, clearly the guy needs to act accordingly. He's a U.S. senator. He's one of the most 100 powerful people in this country that actually could effectuate change. And he, you know, behaves like a 12-year-old in the schoolyard. And it's unfortunate. And look, if mistakes are made by me, I'm going to admit them. I'm going to own them. And more importantly, I'm going to learn from them and move forward. Because, look, I am representing a 1.3 million membership that is dependent upon me making the right decisions on their behalf and forging relationships that can help.
What have some of your members said of what you said in the back and forth?
Well, our members, look, the beauty of, you know, having free speech, you can say whatever you want. And I back up, you know, everything I say. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. And I don't have a problem doing that. My members a lot of the feedback we got, I mean, this guy's definitely perpetuating violence. Every confrontation he has, not even with me in my hearings, I've seen him at other venues. As much as it could be viewed as rhetoric or anything else, I mean, clearly our members don't support the behavior of a sitting U.S. senator. And look, I may not respect Mark Mullin, but I do respect the position of a U.S. senator. I do respect the obligations that they have, and I do respect the responsibility. And we're just trying to work together to make this country a better place for working people.
All right. Now, there had been talk, and I touched on it before, that this could have gotten bad. You're dealing with a senator who's a former college wrestler. He has a 5-0 record as a mixed martial arts fighter. Did you think for a second this guy could kick my butt?
No, I don't think that at all. I mean, look, I got a couple game balls in high school playing football, and that's not on my resume.
Well, you were
that's
captain of
not
your
who I am.
football team as well, so you were no slouch in that regard. This could have been an Ollie Frazier thing.
So,
Obviously, it was not to be.
Yeah, and if you look at his opponents, I mean, most of them had losing records and everything else, and I don't want to get into that stuff. But
we're
look,
not going to return to this type of nasty talk.
No. Our glory. My point is, our glory days are behind us, and we should focus on doing our jobs. And he has a great constituency in Oklahoma, and that's who he's elected to serve. And he definitely has some work to do in that state. I've got some work to do in my union, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And the glory days are behind me. I don't highlight them. I don't look back on them. I just look on what my mission and my goal and my objective is, that's serving my membership.
I didn't know you and I had so much in common. I was a football player. I played left bench, by the way. But let me ask you about this, because you're a very congenial guy. The senator is actually a very congenial, nice guy. So I'm thinking of two nice guys. I respect both of you. And I'm just curious as to whether you're giving up ever getting together with him, talking with him. You have very good relationships with other Republican senators. Senator Hawley, you had the same with J.D. Vance. So you've reached out and made progress with others in the Republican Party. I'm just wondering whether there's any chance the two of you can bury this hatchet.
I have no problem sitting down with anybody. I would have no problem sitting down with Senator Mullin. I will wear my football equipment because I don't want to be getting bit, shot, or caned for that matter. So I will have to protect myself,
All right, let me ask you, because on this meeting, it was getting a good deal of attention because of what it was titled. It was Standing Up Against Corporate Greed, How Unions Are Improving and Investing in Working Families. Now, Senator Bill Cassidy, Louisiana Republican, had said, this sounded like a taxpayer-funded pep rally for big labor unions. So you guys didn't come to blows, but what did you think of his characterization of what is in his eyes was a stacked deck, a pro-union hearing stacked deck?
Look, I respect Dr. Cassidy's opinion, and that clearly wasn't the intention from our side. It was a tumultuous summer of labor where there were a lot of conflicts. We were strictly there to talk about what value we add to the American economy, how influential we can be, and how, we want working people to be treated with dignity and respect. And those hearings are great. Like I stated earlier, we can have differences of opinions, and we can, debate, have respectful dialogue, respectful disagreements, and that's how both sides are going to learn. I didn't look at it as a pep rally. It was probably more of a fact-finding, information gathering meeting that should have actually never went the way it did, but unfortunately it did, and hopefully we'll get another opportunity.
Real quickly, the UAW looks like it's close to securing that auto agreement that they scored, but it could be a close one. It's not a done deal yet. You scored a very generous pay package for Teamster workers over at UPS before this one. Many argue set the stage for this. Shawn Fain, your counterpart at the UAW, has yet to formally endorse President Biden, a very pro-union president. What about you?
We haven't made those decisions yet. We're going to assess each and every candidate. We've invited all the Republican candidates to meet with myself in my office or wherever to discuss what their opinions of unions are and how that, if they are elected, what they're going to do or not do for unions. So I've opened the door to meet with both sides and to gather the most amount of information and more or less convey that to our membership and then make the decision accordingly.
Does this altercation with Senator Markwayne Mullin influence that decision? All right, I'm never going to align myself with a Republican.
No, definitely not. I mean, look, Markwayne Mullin has his opinions. I have my opinions. I have my moral standards. He has his. I'm looking for the best candidate that's going to represent working people nationwide. And as a result of that argument or that fight or the threat of a fight or the threat of a bite, it has no influence on what we're going to do moving forward.
All right. So real quickly on this whole incident, you've not talked to the senator since this dust up, right?
No, him and I are not on a talking basis. Again, I respect the position currently right now until we sit down. I don't respect them yet.
All right. Sean O'Brien, I want to thank you very much. Wanted to get your side of the story after hearing from Senator Mullin. Hope springs eternal that you guys can break bread and not each other's arms, but that's a whole nother matter. Thank you again.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.